Hey everybody, welcome to Friday. I hope you all missed us very much last Friday when I was sick in bed. So we're here this Friday for Veterans Day weekend, for Black Tie Dinner weekend, and we have some very special guests with us today on DVTV. Y'all know Israel and you know Brandy, but our special guests today are Kimmy and Kevin with Bruce Wood Dance. They've got a show that's opening up next weekend, next Friday and Saturday night, right? And they're going to tell us about Bruce Wood Dance. They're going to tell us about themselves, and they're going to tell us about this program. So, Kimmy, tell us a little bit about, first of all, just tell us who Bruce Wood Dance is, what Bruce Wood Dance is.
So, Bruce Wood was,
forward if you want.
Thank you. Bruce Wood was a dancer and choreographer from Fort Worth originally. He had a really successful international career as a performing artist, and moved back to Texas in the 90s, started choreographing in Austin, and then moved back to Fort Worth, started a company there in 1996. He rebooted the company in Dallas in 2010, and for many years he was the artistic director and the sole choreographer. So contemporary dance companies often hire lots of different choreographers to fill out their repertoire. And Bruce was really special in that he was able to continue sort of being inventive, and his range was really, really wide. So dancers stuck with him because it wasn't like you were doing the same piece over and over. You got to feel like you were doing anything and everything, even though the same choreographer was at the helm the whole time. So
You weren't going to have to do Nutcracker every December.
Oh gosh, right? No, definitely not. Yeah, and his dances are just really fulfilling. They're about human experience and really easy, I think, for the dancers to connect to and the audience. And as a performing artist, you can feel when you're having an effect on the audience. You can feel when you really are giving them something for their hearts. And Bruce's work always did that, whether it was funny or sad or dramatic. It didn't matter the tone. You could feel that the work, the way he'd composed the dances, was giving the audience something, for deep inside. So
Now, Bruce Wood, it was 2014, is that right, when he passed away?
yes.
But you guys kept the company going. You were dancing with the company when he was here. How long have you been with Bruce Wood Dance?
I met Bruce in 1999 and started dancing for his Fort Worth. That's what we'll say. Yep, you are nice.
I was just 6.
Tammy's really nice. I know it's so funny to say 19 anything anymore, but I danced for him in his Fort Worth company, moved to New York, was there for a long time, but came back and forth to collaborate with him. And then when he started the company in Dallas in 2010, I was fortunate enough to be able to continue dancing for him. It was a tremendous loss for the dance community in 2014. Bruce's sort of comeback from the company folding in 2007 in Fort Worth to then rebooting in Dallas in 2010 had invigorated the whole dance scene in Dallas. So we felt that loss really deeply, but the board, the Bruce Wood Dance Board, and so much of what had become the Bruce Wood Dance family really wanted to make sure his work continued to have a platform. So we decided, let's band together, let's reshape the kind of mission and structure and everything so that we make sure we have something fresh and relevant that continues his work and his legacy.
So now you were talking about how, there's always something new and fresh and different. But now that he's not here to create new work, do you guys ever go back and restage the old stuff that he did? Or is everything that you do, you found someone who can continue in his vein, in his footsteps, I guess is a good word.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. His work was special in a lot of ways. I think it is relatively timeless. So we do continue to restage his dances. And we're also commissioning work from other choreographers. We try to find choreographers that are like-minded in some way, either their some part of their aesthetic is a fit with Bruce's work, or we think something in their philosophy matches his. So we want to make sure that the dancers in the audience have brand new work to relate to, invest in, and respond to. But the truth is that when you restage something, even if it's something that was made a long time ago, the performers are different, right?
Yes.
So it's not me dancing it anymore. It's Kevin. It's one of our newest dancers who just joined the company. And so these performing artists, as artists themselves, they're kind of bringing some new life and vibrancy
they have a
to
new
the work.
interpretation.
Yeah.
Everybody sees things a little differently. Now, are you still dancing?
A little bit.
Okay. What is your role with Bruce Wood Company?
I'm the artistic director.
Artistic director. Okay.
And in the program we're doing next week, I have the privilege of being a part of a piece created by our rehearsal director. That'll be the world premiere on the program. We're doing 2 Bruce Wood revivals, which are awesome. And not only are we commissioning choreographers from outside to do new work, but we're also trying to kind of foster the growth of people who were in some way shaped themselves, had their artistic lives shaped in some way by Bruce. So Joy Bollinger, who created the world premiere for the program next week, she danced for Bruce for more than 10 years. She started in 2002 in the Fort Worth company. So she was with him a really long time also, and it's fun to see how much of her aesthetic and her sense of balance and narrative really was shaped, I think, by watching him and learning from him.
Tell me about the program that's coming up, the one next Friday and Saturday. You said there's 3 separate pieces, right? Tell me what those are. Tell me a little bit about them.
Yeah, Kevin, do you want to talk about the first one?
The only
So
way
we're
through
start.
is
Yeah.
through. Okay, so
Kevin, real quick, tell everybody, how long have you been with?
So I joined Bruce Wood Dance September 25th.
So you've been there a while and you're brand new. So
Yeah, this year is September 25th, and I joined actually like midway through the season.
Okay.
But
And you came here from New York to dance.
yes, I came here from New York. I was in a couple of companies in New York, and then I met Kimmy in a dance gala in Washington D.C. And we just kind of kept connected. And there was a chance meetup that happened in New York, and we kind of talked about how we could have a audition sort of feeling.
Kevin had a one-on-one audition. That's
Yeah.
not how things usually happen in the dance world. So kudos to him for being just like having enough confidence to do well in that situation.
I was nervous. I was nervous, but Kimmy's really easy to like be around and like talk to. So
I told him to say that.
Yeah, that money goes under there. Okay, tell us about the program though.
So our first piece is The Only Way Through is Through, and
That's by
Bruce Wood. It's a revival, a restaging, and I would say it's bare feet, and I don't know if Bruce has done it.
Bruce we're a modern dance company, and a lot of people, when they think of modern dance, think of work that's done not only without point shoes like you'd see in ballet, but we do it without ballet slippers. Bruce only created 2 of those pieces, so only 2 pieces that don't use ballet slippers.
And The Only Way Through is
one of them.
And
yeah.
Red is the other one. Oh wow! So The Only Way Through is Through. There's 7 dancers, 3 male and 4 female, and it's very tribal, and it's very, I would say it's very primitive. There's a lot of breath, and there's a lot of community, and having to create sort of a village on stage, and you really have to be sensitive to one another, especially in silence, because there's no music to listen to, there's no music to count to in some sections. So the sensitivity of everyone is kind of, there's a texture to when dancers have to listen to each other to such.
It's unique.
degree,
Dancing with the opening part of the piece is no music, and dancers we're supposed to pay attention to each other no matter what. But when you don't have music, where everybody can know, okay, I know the timing because I hear the same thing you're hearing. When you have to create that kind of like collective heartbeat together,
Yes, rhythm, heartbeat. It's very tough.
You really have to pay attention.
Kind of
to each other's
intimidating. It sounds like.
Yeah.
The only way through is through. Inside of it, as a performer of it, I feel like it is very intimidating, and it's an overarching feeling that the performers feel, that I feel.
But like in a way too, it's like you have the opportunity to kind of create something new every time you perform it, because everybody's energy is going to be at a different space and timing. So you're living in the performance, and so there's never going to be two performances that are going to be the same because it's so unique. Like
it's
you're
very
fresh
every single time
on the energy of each other.
Yeah, and you kind of get to with this kind of sense of community, you kind of get to know one another while on stage, and that's very special and important.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And that's the first one. It's called
That's
The
the
Only Way
first
Through Is Through, and that's a Bruce Wood choreography.
Yes,
What's number 2?
The second piece on the program is titled "Lay Your Burdens Down," and it's actually one of the last pieces Bruce created for his Fort Worth company. It is creates a completely different feeling, I think, than The Only Way Through Is Through. They both, in their own way, are about perseverance and hope and resilience. But The Only Way Through is about, in my mind, it's kind of about times when you have to push through something with like raw force, and Lay Your Burdens Down is a much more tender and compassionate, ethereal almost work that has these white sweeping dresses and a lot of lovely like trios and duets, a lot of supportive gestures and partnering, and
Okay. We finished our first segment, or we're at the end. What I'm going to ask, if you guys can hang on and stay with us a little bit longer, y'all have time to do that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
We're going to take a really quick break, and Shannon Nathan Rufus is going to play the sizzle reel. I want you guys, if you're out there watching, watch this video that they sent us, so you can see a little bit about what Bruce Wood Dance is about. So we're going to break for that video, and then we're going to come back and talk. You're going to tell us about the third piece.
Cool.
Okay? All right, great.
you.
Y'all, we'll be right back. Y'all don't go anywhere. Okay, we're back. And that was the sizzle reel from Bruce Wood Dance and Israel Can't Work the Clock. So we were going to talk about the third piece in the program, which is this is going to be a world premiere for,
Right.
What's her first name? Bollinger.
Joy.
Joy, I'm sorry, Joy, I apologize. Joy Bollinger's new piece, world premiere called
hillside.
Okay.
And the meaning of her title is has multiple layers, but she does have a set for the piece that is that creates a rolling hill, and we use that throughout the dance. So I think we talked about her piece having more of a narrative than a lot of current contemporary works have. There really is a story that I think everyone is going to understand and be able to relate to on some level. But the hill, I think the story is a very powerful one. The hill also, though, makes a lot of the physical movement more exciting and interesting, because there are people using the hill for partnering and jumping, and it kind of adds a whole extra dimension at the end of the program, a literal extra dimension on stage. So
now you talked earlier about the first piece, The Only Way Through is Through, that creates this community, this tribal feeling on stage. And then the other one is probably still a bit of community, of village coming together, because you talk about the supportive feel of that. How does this play? You've got this gut up and get through piece, push through, use your just that raw power. Then you have the supportive, nurturing, sounds like maybe as the middle piece. And then how does this third piece play into that narrative, that arc across the three of them?
The main character goes through a traumatic experience, and she is kind of brought back. She is restored during the piece. I think what's interesting about it is that she doesn't see the characters or the beings or spirits or whatever that are actually physically supporting her and kind of helping her rest and helping her heal, and sort of almost like blessing the space that she has just had this traumatic experience in. She doesn't see them for part of the dance, and then she starts to recognize that, whether you interpret it as people that have been there for her or forces in the world that are kind of working to support her without her seeing them, that she eventually recognizes that she has been helped to heal and restore. And Kevin actually Kevin plays a role in the trauma and in the healing. Actually, he sort of switches characters.
So back to your question, I feel like this piece is a culmination of many different feelings and emotions that kind of demand the audience to feel a roller coaster of feelings. Okay. And
just like real life, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Just like real life, which is what, narratives do. And having to play both something in trauma, having to put this main character,
be the devil and the angel.
Be the devil and the angel. It's a journey in itself. And it's nice, but
okay.
It's me being from the industry of filmmaking, when we're wanting to give certain messages or give certain stories, we have dialogue. We have people talking to themselves. In this, it's almost like you're telling a story, but it's so much tougher in many ways because you're doing it without any talking. It's all about just like the language of movement and dancing. And that's really fascinating to me about the different ways to give certain messages. It fascinates me because I think, I'll just have characters say this, but in this, it's completely different.
Yeah.
Everybody's art has a different way to communicate a message, I guess. Yeah. That's one of the things that I'm just was thinking about here. I mean, I'm not going to ask you guys to be political. We do that well enough, but
and we always agree.
Oh yes,
always agree.
We're just so even keeled about it all. But
rants here.
We are in a place right now in this country, regardless of what side you might be on politically, we are in a very stressful and kind of divided world right now. How do you feel like what you do, your art that you put on stage and that you help create. What is the message of that overall, and what are you doing for us with this art? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Thank you for that question. That's a fantastic. I mean, that's a fantastic question for anyone, I suppose, even people not in the arts, to ask ourselves. We should all ask ourselves, what are we doing for the world?
How are we using these platforms?
I think a word that Bruce started to seem to feel confident using about his own work toward the end of his career is healing. Mm-hmm. And he started to I do work that aims to heal people and that people talk about as rejuvenating and encouraging and invigorating. I think because Bruce's work and Joy's, and our intention is for any choreographer that we commission to do work like this, but because his work does focus on human experience, the audience should all be sitting there being reminded of our commonalities.
Okay.
Of what it is to feel, to be in love, of what it is to laugh, of what it is to be hurt, to feel isolated, to then feel compassion and community. And my hope is just that people sitting in the audience being moved by some aspect of human experience are encouraged to remember we are all in the same boat.
Yeah.
We are, there are plenty of beautiful differences that make this world interesting and worth enjoying, right? But there are some basic things that we need to remember are worthy of respect in every human being. And so I think that's what's healing and sort of the highest purpose maybe of the work we do.
Yes.
Yeah, probably for all art, all of us.
Oh yeah.
Whether we're talking about zombies or
Yeah.
whatever.
I heard about your film. Yeah. Yeah.
They need to know where they can see
I asked you.
zombies.
I have good news.
Oh.
So the distributor has the film. He says that he wants to just keep it for a little bit because they're hoping to get it into either South by Southwest or Tribeca.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's how much they liked it.
Oh,
that's great.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's
so there
amazing.
will be a chance to see
Sounds like it. Yeah.
the
Great.
zombie movie, but all of our art. I mean, and it's a zombie movie. It's a silly, goofy, gory zombie movie, which has a very special message. It really does. And for our community, it's it's very special. And Brandy is a writer who
Well, and also I think hearing you talk, I got my BA in dance, and I was a modern dancer
Wow.
for 5 years. Yeah, so I got my start. I started off as a belly dancer, and then I didn't know that you could go to school and get a degree in dance. And so when I found that out, I mean, I've been dancing my whole life. I've been dancing since I was 3. And so when I found that out, I was like, oh my God, I can go to school. I can learn this art form that I love. And so I went to Texas Women's University, and I got my BA in dance. And so we've done, I've seen y'all. I've been in that sphere, and hearing, y'all talk about the art and talk about the narrative and talk about the energy in the story, it reminds me that could have been my trajectory had I not found drag. And I think, it really could have. So like every time, like I watch it, I go to dance shows all the time. I love modern, I love contemporary. And hearing y'all talk, I got this little niggle that went, hello, this is also, part of your story as well. And I think it's really interesting when you're talking about healing and the energy and creating that. And I feel like any art, if you can communicate with each other in that way, the audience is totally going to feel that. And even without dialogue or with dialogue. And I'm so excited y'all are here, and I'm going to have to go check out this show, because it's got me, it's gotten me thinking in ways like, this is what I try to push, I'm judging a drag pageant actually tonight.
Yeah.
And anytime I step on the stage and perform, I bring in those ideas, those dance elements, the motifs, those things that you learn in the dance community. And I really wish more drag performers would do that, because there's so much that they could learn from just taking a simple dance class and learning about each other's energy and relating on stage and improving and contact improv. And there's so much you can learn about art in general by just taking a simple dance class. So if any of y'all are out there, you should totally take an improv like dance class. It will literally change your life, the way that you respond to people's energy. So that's all I wanted to say.
All right. Well, you need to let people know where, when, and how they can see your show.
Yes. The show is titled Rise. It's at Moody Performance Hall on November 17th and 18th. So that's next Friday and Saturday.
Where is Moody Performance Hall?
It's in the Arts District.
Okay.
And you can get tickets actually off our website at brucewooddance.org.
Okay.
We also use the Dallas Winds box office.
Okay.
But I have to look at our beautiful
flyer.
Bruce Wood Dance. Is it 2 Ds? Bruce Wood Dance.
It is.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you, it works either way. If you type in the one with the single D, it works, or the double D.
Wow,
we made
that's
sure to
cool.
cover
Branding.
that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hold on, out here in front of the camera so we can see there.
Right. Yeah.
Here.
Aren't those gorgeous dancers? What?
Yes.
Okay, so yes, we use the Dallas Winds box office. It's 214-428-2263, or our website, brucewooddance.org. And there's some other pretty pictures. I don't know how well you can see those pictures, but yeah.
That's beautiful. Okay, where are we on time?
You have 30 more minutes. Or 30 seconds. Sorry.
Okay, so
Sorry, Rufus. I didn't mean to scare you. You got 30 more seconds.
well, did he get all big-eyed when you said that? Okay, well, we want to tell you how much we appreciate you guys coming down and talking with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Giving us a whole, usually we're just here running our mouths, but this is, you guys have explained some stuff. I can two-step, if I have my boots on. I'm not a dancer. So
that's dancing.
Yeah, you haven't seen me do it yet. Yeah. But people who are not dancers, and to hear you talk about the energy and about the whole community and the village, I think I'm hoping some people who are out there watching us now, or hopefully will be watching this soon, got an idea of what contemporary dance. I know some people are like, oh, contemporary dance, they're just out there running around. We don't want to watch that. There's so much more to it than what somebody might have in their idea, their stereotype of what modern dance.
Moms.
It's not dance moms.
Right.
It's not dance moms.
Truly not. Although, we may choreograph a show called Dance Moms for Bruce Wood Dance to do next time. It's going to be totally, a comedy when we do that. No, you didn't hear what I said, did you? We're going to choreograph Dance Moms for you guys to present.
Oh, okay.
That's your next show. So again, thank you guys very much. We really appreciate it. You guys, brucewooddance.org. Go check it out. Get the times, what am I saying?
We're at
Addresses.
8 p.m.
Good Lord.
Yeah, we're at 8 p.m. both nights, the 17th and 18th of this month.
That's Friday and Saturday, a week from tonight and tomorrow. So
I need to find a date. So
I'll be your date.
This is not.
Oh, I want my date to put out.
Oh, okay, so yeah.
She probably would, but not with
I
you.
would, but not with you. Yeah.
This is not a dating show. Thank y'all for being here. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. We're going to take a break. Y'all come back. We're going to talk about something else in a minute. All right? Thank you.
Thank you.
So really, thank y'all very much. I think this
Welcome back to DVTV in Space. We are.
I am Tammy Nash.
I am Tammy Nash.
Oh.
And I am Israel Amara Sky.
We got so wrapped up in talking to our special guest.
Tammy, you can come around to this one if you
I
want.
know. We pushed her aside because.
She doesn't like you, Brandy. She wants to sit
I
one
know.
away from you.
What is she trying to say, Israel?
I know.
I'm mistreated. And click the button there, boo.
Ooh, that would be a good drag name, Mistreated.
Sorry.
Our clock is of no use to us if we're
Wait.
not punching the button.
What is going on?
Here, I'll do this.
Lord, can't get good help around here these days.
It is Friday, and it is like a holiday today. Like people, like there's no mail. The banks are closed
It is
because they're
a-
celebrating.
It's Veterans Day
Veterans
today.
Day. Yeah.
That's
There we
what
go.
we're going to talk about, actually.
Yes.
We're going to discuss Veterans Day. And I had hoped that we would have some other guests that might show up. But obviously, it was kind of last minute, and they weren't able to do it. Some of the folks, in case you haven't heard, Black Tie Dinner is tomorrow night. It's the 36th annual Black Tie Dinner.
36.
36 dinners. It's one of the largest in the country, and it's unique in that there are a lot of black tie events that benefit Human Rights Campaign Foundation, which is the nonprofit arm of the Human Rights Campaign. There are a lot of events like this, Black Tie Gala events that benefit HRCF. Ours is unique. It's it may be the oldest. It may have been the first. And it's unique in that we don't just give money to DC. Half the money stays here and is distributed among our beneficiaries, our local organizations. And, pardon me, and the other half goes to a Human Rights Campaign Foundation. So a lot of the HRC big wigs are in town right now, and they had a press conference just a little bit ago at Resource Center about Veterans Day. Lambda Legal, we have the South Central Regional Office of Lambda Legal is here in Dallas, 2 floors up from my office. And Lambda Legal and an organization called Outserve SLDN. SLDN stands for
SLDN, Service Legal Defense Network.
Service Members Legal Defense Network.
Yeah.
Service members, one word. So they are working together on a lawsuit to stop Trump's anti-trans ban in the military. Y'all remember?
Didn't a judge block that?
A judge did in a separate lawsuit. There's like 3 or 4 lawsuits that have
Okay.
already been filed. And so they were having a press conference today to honor our veterans, all veterans, but also to point out that honoring all veterans means supporting especially our transgender active duty and transgender veterans. So y'all think about that when you're out there waving your flags and thanking people for their service. You think of the people who, it's everybody who joins the military sacrifices, and their families sacrifice. They put their lives on the line.
You would think
So
the
that
president
we
would
can
know that.
They put their lives on the line so that we can sit here and talk about whatever we want to talk about, right?
Yeah.
And
We can talk about people kneeling. We can kneel. We can do,
because these people serve.
Exactly.
And and you're right. The president should know that, and obviously he doesn't. But then you stop and you think about, it's not the lesbian and gay service members anymore, because Don't Ask, Don't Tell has been repealed. But our transgender people are still, they're out there doing this, even though the assholes are trying to keep them from doing it.
Mm-hmm.
They've made their careers, they've put their lives into the military. And these ungrateful SOBs just want to kick them out because they're not the same as other people.
Right.
So, it was amazing to me. There was a young trans woman, Staff Sergeant Jamie Hash. She's stationed in San Antonio right now. She is Air Force. And she recently transitioned. Well, she transitioned after Obama lifted, the Obama administration ended the ban on transgender people. And she transitioned. So now, she is, decorated active duty military. And her livelihood is in jeopardy now. And there's some veterans there who served. Trans woman who was in the Marine Corps transitioned after she got out. It's a lesbian that was there who Texas Army National Guard. 22 years, 17 years under Don't Ask, Don't Tell. The first, 5 years before it was implemented. 17 years under Don't Ask, Don't Tell. She retired 2 months or 1 month after she retired. They lifted Don't Ask, Don't Tell. So she had to stay, and her wife had to be in the closet all that time, you know.
Huh.
So, you know, that's today. Veterans Day is tomorrow.
It's tomorrow, but we're celebrating
the
today.
holiday.
Yeah,
the bank holiday, the federal holiday is today. So think about that when we're thinking about. I've got a lot of family members who were in the military.
I do too.
Me too.
My father, and then my ex-partner, obviously.
Yeah.
That I've written about. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had uncles. I've got cousins.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have one cousin who just re-upped in the Coast Guard. You know, after being out for a while, or reserves, I think. So you know, and I appreciate all that. But then they got to have I know that they got to have their families around them. Your partner didn't. But, you know, like your dad, my uncles, my cousins, no, they didn't have to hide who they were. So it doesn't make their service any less at all. And I don't mean that, but you just got to stop and think about the people who served anyway, you know?
Yeah. And the lives that they have outside of it, and those family members that are affected by the fact that, you know, they're not around. You know, they're serving our country, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all of our country.
Exactly. Everybody
All of
in our country.
Yeah, even the people who don't like them.
Exactly.
And
Brown,
who hate
black,
on them,
queer,
and who...
immigrant, Muslim, all of them. Everybody.
All of us. And everybody who's in our... We got all those people in our military,
Yep.
and every one of them there is there fighting and serving for, you know, Trump, who is the biggest orange asshole around right now. And, you know, Mitch McConnell, all those assholes in Congress who are trying to throw them out, you know, are not supporting them.
And speaking of trying to throw them out, and on a nicer, you know, more uplifting note, the transgender woman.
I'm not uplifting.
The transgender woman that won.
Danica
Rome.
Yeah,
Yes.
Danica Rome.
Do you know that we had 7 transgender people who won office on Tuesday?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that amazing?
It is unbelievable.
It shows that we're fighting back.
The resistance.
You know? Yeah.
But we cannot let it.
Make
fall.
us
This
think
cannot
that
be
we're
the crest
fine.
of the wave. This has to
Exactly.
be the wave
It's
building.
the beginning. Yeah, we're just
Because
going
if
to
we
build
let
and
it-
build.
If we let it go, man, we're.
It's kind of like what happened with Obama. Like, I really feel everybody just got so complacent and excited, and that all of a sudden, you know, that just went, oh, there's Trump. You know, we became bickering in and of, you know, with ourselves over Hillary, Bernie, and all this other stuff that we just went, there's no way we're going to go backwards. There's no way the pendulum is going to swing all the way back. And guess what?
Yeah.
It did. And
and
now
it knocked us in the head on the way.
Exactly.
So, okay, but let's talk. We switched to politics. So let's talk
How did that
about
happen?
politics. It's,
Us?
us, I know. Imagine.
Yeah.
But let's talk about some of the big political news that just came out yesterday. Anybody know who Roy Moore is? Okay, Roy Moore.
We're in trouble.
I know. I feel
Alabama State Supreme Court Justice, who in the early 2000s had them put the Ten Commandments monument,
Oh gosh, yes.
and he got kicked out of office for that.
Yes,
Turned
yes.
around, ran for
I know-
office.
Yes, that's
got
all you had to
elected
say.
again. Got kicked out again last year because he refused to acknowledge the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court. You know, you are ignoring the rule of law because he said, you know, gay marriage is wrong, and we ain't gonna have that shit. Y'all homos get out of Alabama.
Yeah. Yep.
That's exactly what that was a quote, really.
It
But-
really could be.
Yeah, it could be. All right, so you know, then Jeff Sessions, Alabama senator, gets made Attorney General, Keebler F, in the AG office, and that leaves Senate office open in Alabama. Guess who's running as a Republican?
Who?
Roy Moore. He already run. I mean, he had a Republican primary opponent. Trump supported the primary opponent, by the way.
Really?
Yes. And Roy Moore won. So now he's the Republican for this special election on, I think it's December 18th. It's December, I believe it's the 18th, is the special election to fill that office until 2012.
So who's...
Here's the best part. There's a man named Doug Jones who was a prosecutor who prosecuted, KKK members for crime, for
well,
racist
they're gonna
crimes.
Keep him off.
So he's running against Roy Moore. Roy Moore yesterday, the Washington Post came out and said, "Hey, y'all, guess what? Back in like 1970 something, when Roy was 31, he had a relationship with a 14-year-old girl.
Oh.
No intercourse. Bill Clinton
Of course
Bill
not.
Clinton
Of course
did not have
Which
sexual
makes it okay.
intercourse
Which
with
makes
that
it
woman.
okay.
There was a sexual aspect to the relationship. She said something about. I remember seeing a quote where this woman said, "Yeah, I'd never seen a man's penis before." So, and there's been someone who's come out and said, "Yeah, he tried to date me when I was 16, and my mama said, hell no." And another woman's like, "I was 18, and he was trying to get me to go out with him." But the 14-year-old says they dated. She was 14.
And he was what at that time?
31, 32? Yeah, he was a grown man.
So what are Republicans saying about that now? Like, what excuses are they making up?
Well, okay.
Well, it's Alabama, so it's
I know,
okay.
that's kind of what I was thinking.
In Congress, Mitch McConnell says if it's true, he needs to step down out of the race. It's too late for them to replace him on the ballot. If it's true, he needs to withdraw from the race. That's Mitch McConnell. Mm-hmm. If it's true, John McCain's like, this is the Washington Post. This is very well sourced.
Yeah.
This is, he needs to withdraw. And if it's true, he needs to withdraw. Mitt Romney said, innocent until proven guilty is for a court of law. This is politics. He needs to go. So, they're all saying the National Republican Committee has withdrawn funding for his campaign.
Really?
Yeah. So nationally, they're all saying it. In Alabama, they're like, well,
That's what you were saying.
State auditor is a Republican in Alabama. And this is really, this is not a word-for-word quote. I'm not going, but this is my version of what he said, and it's accurate to what he said. Well, Joseph was like a 30-year-old man, and Mary was a teenager, and they had Jesus.
Luna, you
so
called it.
And then somebody else says, well, it was consensual. It was a consensual relationship.
Which makes it okay.
She's 14. Minors are not legally able to consent.
They are in Alabama.
Not even in Alabama.
Because of how we eat here and the food we eat, everyone's a lot more mature than the rest of the world. They need to know that and put it in the law books.
Well, you know what? Here's another thing. I believe that I read there is no statute of limitations on child molestation in Alabama.
What? You're kidding.
I don't believe that there is a statute of limitations. So even though it was however many years ago, they could still, if they had the evidence to take to court, they could criminally charge him.
So
I think that's right. I may be.
And is that what she's doing? Because she said it was when she was 14?
Nope. She just
somebody,
they had a reporter. It was in Mississippi. Washington Post had somebody in Mississippi covering all of this, and they started hearing these stories about, he had a little teenage girlfriend, underage girlfriend back in the 70s. And they're like, really? Seriously? Yeah. So-and-so. And she did not go to them. They had to go out and find her. And then they found these other people. This is not all like, these are all friends who were saying this.
Right.
They didn't know each other. They had all these stories, but they did not know each other beforehand. And this woman, not a girl anymore, this woman at this point said her mother has corroborated what she said, and her friend from that time, her best friend from that time, said, yeah, that was what happened. So this, this was not like somebody came out with this story. It's like the reporter started hearing all these rumors and had to track it all down.
It's a thing.
And they're like, yeah, that happened. Yeah. And of course, it's all the Democrats. It's these nasty Democrats smearing his campaign. Mm-hmm. And the woman who was the 14-year-old at the time, her name is Lee Corfman, Leighchcorfman, I think is the correct spelling. She goes, no, I'm a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm a Republican. So yeah, it's a very well sourced, researched article. So it has the ring of truth. And he is saying, he's like, they're smearing me. He's sending that out as for fundraising. But, the folks in Washington are like, we cannot afford for this man to be here because we're already in trouble. And that ties back to Tuesday's results. They know they're in trouble.
They know they're in trouble.
Yeah. All right. We're past time for a break. We're going to take a break. We'll be back for segment number
the last
4.
Segment number, the last one.
Oh, okay.
Last one before the closing.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
The closing is the closing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. No. It's usually 3 and then an 8 and then a 2. So
For all of y'all that are wondering what we do,
we're coming back in a minute, y'all. We'll figure it out during the break. All right, y'all don't go anywhere. Okay, we're back, and we had a big argument about shit there, while y'all didn't get to hear it. But you know what? We're gonna have it. We're gonna have an argument now.
Argument. Yeah.
I'm just gonna let them go at it for a minute.
Well, no. Israel.
Yeah.
Tell us what you're thinking.
Well, I've been staying updated. You can't.
You've been staying updated.
Though I wish
it's
I was
better
dating.
than going to sleep and dating.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Israel.
Well, it's the whole the thing with the Harvey Weinstein, how it started, and now more people have come out, and then even a congresswoman came out and she said, I was sexually harassed because this one person said this to me when I was 30 years old. She's now 60, and he said this one thing, and now it seems like when anyone, this is how I feel. So if 20 years ago someone made a comment to someone and said, hey, you look hot 20 years ago, now they're like, sexual harassment 20 years ago. And then everyone's like, you raped her. I mean, I think it's getting a little out of hand that it's like, okay, so he said, something to you. Where do we start paying attention to it? And when do we say, that's nothing, shut the hell up, move on?
But I think, and this is part of the conversation that we had off camera, is I feel like people are now feeling safe, you know, with what happened with Harvey Weinstein, especially in Hollywood, where everything has been so hush hush and people were so worried about their careers and affecting their careers, that I think now they're feeling safe. Like now it's a safe environment to come out and have this conversation, just like we didn't talk about being queer or being LGBT or being rainbow until we felt safe enough to do it in a public sphere, or as women, you know, what we went through if we had an abortion. Like now it's a safe space to talk about that experience. And so I think that the fact that all these things are coming out is now a good thing, which because it means we are now open to having the conversation, as opposed to where we weren't 20 years ago, where they would be like, no, just shut up and deal with it.
Right.
And so I think all of these things that are coming out now is because people feel safe enough to talk about it. And I think it's more of a safety thing, and there's a safety in numbers. So they're like, okay, this came out, so I feel comfortable, I'm going to come out. I do get what you're saying, though, as far as, you know, what is the line? Is there a line?
There should be a line.
Yeah. Is there a line? What is that line? How do you define that line? You know, and those are the conversations we need to start having now, I think, instead of saying it's just blowing up.
Well, like for example, with the Kevin Spacey, I'm sorry, you were going to say something.
No, go ahead.
With the Kevin Spacey thing here lately in the last couple of days, a mom comes out and she says, you know, now my son is finally comfortable with bringing this up, but Kevin Spacey once hit on him, and she's being all, you know, boo-hooey, and I'm thinking, who cares?
Yeah.
He just hit on him.
How old was the kid?
I think he was like in late teens, but he was underage. But now she says, well, he's he's comfortable enough to bring this up now, but because he's older now. And I thought, well, where is he? Why is his mom still talking to him? You know, Norman Bates and your mother. You know, I just kept thinking, but the moment the waterworks come, then everyone's like, I am so sorry. I'm like, no, stop. I don't want there to be a blur of people that it really happened to, and it affected them, to people just wanting attention, going, you know what? He called me a name one time and said that I was a cupcake.
He said sugar.
Yeah, he said sugar.
I would be in a lot of trouble. I call my waitress sugar all the time.
Yeah, what if somebody came and said, well, you know, with all this sexual harassment stuff, Tammy Nash once, she didn't know me, and she called me cupcake in the elevator. And then everyone goes, Tammy is sexually harassing people, you know.
And people would say, don't be an asshole, because Tammy does not use that word. She'd have called you sugar.
Sugar. Yeah, so you get what I'm saying? That's what I see happening now.
I do. And unfortunately, there is a bandwagon effect. Yeah. You know? Everybody... You have these people who have been legitimately, permanently affected, you know, by something that happened to them. And then you have just irritated the hell out of me when Kevin Spacey. Oh, and by the way, I'm gay.
Yeah, that was terrible.
That
was all wrong
in so many ways.
But you know, and then you got Louis C.K. jacking off in front of women. Oh, do you mind?
Yeah, but he's always been an ass. Like, I feel like now it's just now coming.
But you know what? Have you seen his? He came out and said, you know what? These stories are true, and I was wrong.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
but they're already forgiving
him. Decades. Yeah.
Well,
like, hey, he's going to be fine with his career.
Maybe not. Who knows?
Maybe not. Yeah.
But there is. You cannot turn your back. You cannot just ignore the fact that this happens to people, and people's lives have been ruined.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and referencing a conversation during the break, even when you're a minor and you consent to something. I have kids, y'all, and they are of age now, and they still ain't smart enough to consent to certain things. If they get credit card things in the mail, their mother tears them up. Hell no. You know, because there's just certain things require a certain level of maturity, and yes, certain people are mature at different ages.
But that's what I was. Yeah, like,
but I have to say. We're just talking about the law, because there can be a 12-year-old who's much more mature than a 23-year-old.
Me and you, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But back to the idea is these people had these experiences, and it changed their lives. Mm-hmm. And women, even if you think it is a relatively benign occurrence, oh yeah, he always called me cupcake. Hey, cupcake, why don't you bring me a cup of coffee, or come sit on the couch and let's talk about this. And that continuous, even if there was never anything physical, but that continuous sexualizing of a woman who just has to put up with this, even though I might find it offensive.
Right.
I don't even like cupcakes.
And see, and I get that too. I
you
think
know,
these reports.
I think that's a symptom of this power.
Well, these reports that I've seen, especially with that one congresswoman, I forgot her name, and I'm sorry that I can't think of her name, but she just said one incident where he called her something or said something, and it was flirty. And then shortly after that, there was another woman who said, this person hit on me one time and I wasn't interested, but it made me uncomfortable. Okay, and you told him no and he left you alone. But now you can't sue for it. So he hit on you and you told him no.
There you go. I'm with
and
you
that
on
was
that.
over.
I'm with you on that.
So how, that's what's
I
happening.
mean, that's
now.
how are you going to connect with somebody if you can't say, I think you're an attractive person. Would you like to go out? Yeah, no, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks anyway. See you
Right
later.
now you have to sue.
But
for
20
that,
years down the road, I'm hoping that my asking you out didn't change your life and make you miserable, and
Right.
you're not Queen of England because of it.
And I do say, and this is just from my experience with my film Ticked Off Trannies with Knives, when all the controversy was happening and there were protests and people were on CNN talking about it and all this stuff during Tribeca when we were screening. People came out of the woodwork to talk about how they were against the film. And I was watching and I thought, I know these people. They just want TV time. They want people to know their name.
Yes.
And
that happens.
I think that's what's happening too.
I think it is happening. And so I think I keep going back to the fact that we have to find that line, because I don't want that to discredit all those voices and the reality of what it is. But I feel what you're saying, like it's convoluting everything and it's making it not as.
People are going to quit. It
trivializes it a little bit.
There you go. That's the word I was looking for. Yep, that's the word.
Yeah. People are going to quit paying attention.
Yeah.
Right. Become immune to it because
exactly.
Everybody's got a story, whatever.
But at the same time, it's negating like these very real cases that are happening with like the That 70s Show, who they have hard evidence that this actor raped 4 women and nothing is happening to him. As opposed to you have Kevin Spacey and then you have Harvey Weinstein and they have it. So it's not going to ever, I don't ever want people to stop talking about it until those people hear that this man raped 4 women and they do something about it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want to silence people until we get that shit cleared up and we start believing these women and I don't want people to stop.
We're going to have to find a way to equalize power.
Yep.
Across the board, gender, age, all of it. You got it's that kind of stuff is not even really about sex. It's about power. Somebody. And we got to go to our break before our last 2 minutes. But I want to say that somebody explained to me one time, like the difference between rape and S&M. S&M is, there's a power struggle part to it, but rape is not about love. It's about power and about control.
Because there's consent
and it's not about
both,
sex.
from both people.
Yeah, there's consent. You have an agreement. It's an agreed upon.
Rape is not about sex. Yeah. Rape is about power.
Yeah,
and it's it's still about sex, though. I think.
Well, it's sex as a weapon.
There you go. Yeah,
for power.
Rape uses sex as a weapon, and until we take that weapon away from people, until sex can be something that you do because that's what you want and you enjoy it, and that we can't silence anyone.
Yeah.
We cannot. We have to be willing to wade through all of that and not let ourselves be immune to it.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Because you're right. There is that bandwagon. Just be, somebody said something to me and I think they're grody, so I was harassed. No, that's not what harassment is. But those people are going to be there too. But we have to put up with them.
Yep. We owe it to the people.
Yes.
We owe it to the people whose lives have been completely traumatized and affected to take time and wade through all the bullshit to make sure that those people who are genuinely hurt and affected get what
they deserve.
That they get some kind of healing and something recognition.
Just acknowledgement sometimes.
Exactly. Or I believe you without any kind of questioning. I believe you. What can we do next?
Yeah. Okay, well, we really do have to go to our final break. We'll be back just to wrap it up. So y'all don't go anywhere. And we're back. And we've only got 2 minutes, so I'm going to let Israel wrap things up. Tell us, Rack Focus this Sunday. Tell us real quick.
Yes, Rack Focus Film Competition, which is my competition. It's round 6, and I'm bummed because Brandy can't be a judge this round.
I know, I'm so sorry.
And so it is at Texas Theater. Doors open at 5:30. Show starts at 6:30. 21 short films, all DFW made.
So amazing.
All shot within the last 3 months. We're going to have 3 judges critiquing live on microphone to everybody, and then a week after that we're going to have the award ceremony here at Spayse Studios. So come out to the Texas Theater and support local filmmaking. You can get advanced discounted tickets at rackfocusdallas.com.
And if you've never been to one, I highly recommend, not just only to support the artist, but there's some really badass films being made within 3 months, and you never know who you're going to be seeing at the beginning of their career. And I think that it's always so amazing to keep your mind open, that art is so much more than what you see on TV and on the movie screen.
Wait till you see some of these movies.
I know.
They're stepping up their game every round.
It makes me excited.
Tell us what you're doing.
Hi, Brandy Marsky. Tonight, why are you laughing at me, Rufus? I will be judging and performing at Sue Ellen's. It is Miss Texas US of A Diva MIN Classic. So if you've never seen a drag pageant before, this is cisgendered women and trans and female drag king performers. It's a pageant tonight at Sue Ellen's. Come check it out. It starts at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock, Sue Ellen's. Be there, be square. I'm Tammy Nash, and I have just one thing to say. Chad Mantooth has ovaries. All right.
Was that the secret word?
That was the secret word.
Yes, we knew it.
There you go, Chad. There's your word, man. You just never know what he's going to say will be the secret word of the day. So, y'all, I hope that you guys will go. Remember, Bruce Wood Dance next Friday and Saturday. Black Tie Dinner is tomorrow night. Pick up Dallas Voice. And, just a word in advance. Next week, our paper will be focused on, our cover story will be focused on Transgender Day of Remembrance. Okay, we also will have a gift guide in next week. Ooh. So watch for that.
I like gifts.
Bruce Wood Dance. Thank you, Kimmy, and Kevin for being here, and we'll see you guys next week, okay?
Have a good
Bye.
weekend.
Bye.
Bye.